You haven't even read that?
Wait, what are you doing with the book?
So he has the confidence to finish the story.
Hear now the words of the witches.
Can you hear the words of the witches? Yeah, the words of the witches.
Welcome to Words of the Witches, the Charmed podcast that will guide you through the lesser-known published lore of the Charmed universe.
In this night and in this hour, we call upon our fanboy power, bringing education and stupefaction to all of you.
Together, we will use our knowledge and reverence abundantly, but also find ourselves sassy and delightful.
Which is why we will truly be charmed.
Well, hello, spell word as. Hello, Shawn.
Hello, Kevin.
Oh,
Hi,
my
Kevin.
goodness gracious. Yeah, it's Words of the Witches, peoples, if you didn't know. And I'm Kevin, your resident Charmed resource.
And I'm Shawn. I love Marvel.
I mean, that's great. I love that for you. I like Marvel too. It's great. We won't really be talking. Well, maybe. You never know when it could come up again here. We're talking about Charmed, but you never know when there might be some crossover because, you know, stranger things have happened.
I like that show too.
Actually, Stranger Things, yeah. So, what are we doing today, Shawn?
Today is all about the retrospective, Kevin. We are going to look back at these books that we talked about over the last 7 books over 35 episodes, 36 counting this one, and we're going to talk about what we felt about these books.
Yeah, so welcome to our Guidebooks retrospective. This was season 3 of the podcast, where we covered the guidebooks. Yes. And these were the Charmed show companions, handbooks, and essay compilations that explored Charmed in various ways. You said we had 7 books. You are correct. I'm so amazed you knew that.
It's all right here in your email.
I know, I sent you notes. And the 7 books, that they all included specific details on this series, cast and crew interviews, educated analysis, like essays on the show. And I thought all of them are definitely an asset to any hardcore fan. How, to what degree, that's up to you. It's up to us. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I think all of them have their place. So we'll be talking about them all today. Yeah. But before we get into all that stuff, we will look at our PS4 poll results from last week. Do you remember what our poll was, Shawn?
What is the most interesting to you? I don't remember how you worded it, and it was like special effects, facial expressions, big penises, or boobies.
You're so close. I love it.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. So it was, what visual element draws you most or attracts you the most? We did put this on Instagram and YouTube. Which results do you want to hear first?
Let's do YouTube because it's going to be less.
Yes. We had 20 votes on YouTube, and it was between special effects, place, like locations, like the Hallow Manor or P3, props, and then facial expression.
That was close.
Penis. So props got 0 votes, 0%.
Wow.
Special effects and place tied at 25%, and then facial expression won at 50%.
Wow. And I thought we were kind of weird for all choosing that, but I guess we're not.
Yeah. So how do you think the Instagram results compared?
Instagram's always funny, so I'm going to say on that one, special effects one.
Okay. So the Instagram, we got a lot more votes. So props got 11%. Special effects got 23%.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the last 2 are very close. We had facial expressions at 32% and place won at 34%.
People like them places.
Yeah, the Hallow Manor spoke to them. They only got 2 more votes than facial expressions. So, interesting.
How did penises do?
Penises got, I can't find it on the list actually, soaring above the charts.
Yep.
Okay, so that's done. Do you have any manner keeping that you want to attend to?
You can't just vanquish an entire house, especially not our house. People are gonna notice.
Manner keeping.
Well, the problem isn't the manner. It's the manner in which it was treated.
A good witch is a clean witch.
Do I have any manner keeping? No, I do not.
Okay, I have some stuff.
Gasp! And shock.
Yes. Yeah, there's just some things when I was listening back to last week's episode. Just some things struck out to me, and we had some listeners write in, and they realized some of the same things. So, first of all, we had this color essay that you covered for us about all the colors of powers and stuff like that. I really hate the essay. It's fine, whatever.
Can you paint with all the colors of the magic?
Oh, I want to see that mural now. Oh. But we talked about how none of the sisters had color to their powers. Do you remember this? And that's what the argument of our essay was. But when you think about it, we were only looking at their base powers, their first powers. Astral projection had a color. That was, reddish orange. We had, technically, Piper's exploding power, too, resulted in flames and sparks, which was a color. Even Phoebe's premonitions occasionally had bits of color in them. There would be a pop of color. Like the demon baby in The Wedding from Hell. We've seen, like, when she's morality bites, even her psychic reflection that had a blue color to it. So there was colors in it. Even later premonitions were, like, in full color. So that does not fit into their essay.
That's true. It does not.
And we do know, just for the record, that Phoebe saw color even when they showed in black and white. So, because Phoebe would recognize, she's like, I saw that pink car. So she sees it even if the audience doesn't.
Okay. That's just our cue to know it's it's vision.
Right. Mm-hmm. Also, about that color thing, we talked about how that essay said that Cole shimmered to fit in with the girls because that was like a colorless power after he became the source. And I'm thinking about this like, wait a fucking minute. No, he did not shimmer. He was trying to act like he was human. He was supposed to have no powers. He would not have ever even shimmered in front of the girls.
True.
So he was trying to be like human this whole time. And when he did teleport, it was always flaming because the source was using the powers. So that book really had no idea what it was talking about. That essay had no idea what it was talking about.
So we need to rate that book really fucking low.
I mean, it was mostly that essay in particular, but still.
Yeah.
We'll talk about our rankings this episode. That's going to be fun. I did have one more part of manner keeping, and there was a comment on YouTube that I wanted to read. And this was in response to something that Michael said, Black Gay Comic Geek. How he said how Chris's telekinesis was very weak. It was on Graham's level. And this is the comment we got from TCT830676995.
It's easy to remember.
They said, Grams is a formidable witch with great dexterity in her telekinetic abilities. We see this in Season 1 when she says Warlocks be gone and deftly sends the girls packing out the front door with great maneuver. They didn't even touch a single thing in the house. You see them kind of flying between the walls and getting out the door. So that is a really good point. We also see how she combines telekinesis and spells like in Sympathy for the Demon. Hellspawn, demon, creature of death, fire shall take your very breath. The best spell executed on the show in my view. So sorry, I don't think Chris is qualified to be in the same sentence as Grams. Let's put some respect on her name.
Wow.
So
I feel like that's Will Smith who wrote that, and he's going to come and smack the listener.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure I point that out because they're very right. Grams is pretty badass with her telekinesis. So yeah. I think he misspoke there. So yeah, that's all I got for manner keeping. Let's start this review. I'm reviewing the situation. First of all, I do think this was kind of an odd season for us because it's the first time that we explored books that weren't actual narratives. You know, we go from going from the novels and comics, and even with our other show, Solving for X, we're used to analyzing movies and TV and other pieces of media, not pieces of media analyzing pieces of media.
Yeah.
So it's a whole kind of different world.
Different.
So what are your thoughts on how this season progressed and you're adapting?
It was interesting. It was definitely a change. I think what was a little harder for me was going through the ones that kind of reviewed the series, because I'm kind of like, give me something new. I like the essays a little bit more because they gave you a different perspective to chew
Something
on.
juicy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I do. Even though I had problems with a lot of those essay books, I think some of them were interesting because you got to really hear other people's theorizations and stuff. So, something about the season 2, we did not cover a whole book in one sitting. That would be preposterous.
That's a lie. You did do one. You did one book
except for
in
one
one sitting.
Except for one. Yeah, that baby little book of love spells. Yeah. So all except for one. But yeah, most of the time we separated them thematically according to the chapters that were already in the book. So the book did the work for us in terms of breaking it into sections. But yeah, so, and you said it earlier, we had 35 episodes this season, 36 counting this one. This is our shortest season. We only had 35 words of the days because of each of the 35 episodes. But it did bring our total word of the days from the beginning of the podcast to now to 139 words.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words.
And counting our transition period between the seasons, because we did have a little interlude there, we had 4 bonus episodes, only 4, but those bonus episodes were reacting to key events like the Alyssa Milano drama and losing Shannon Doherty, so they were pretty heavy-hitting bonus episodes. And hey, we did, write, cast, and produce a 2.5-hour Charmed musical. I don't know. So I guess you have an excuse. That led to 4 special episodes as well. So I'm kind of grouping them into this retrospective because that was all after the last retrospective. We had 1 surprise power play this season, and we had 1 retroactive You Look Familiar this season. So that was kind of fun and unexpected. And as of now, this podcast has 144 main episodes, 21 bonus episodes, 4 special episodes, 2 trailer episodes, and my initial 5-minute introduction presenting the show. And that brings our official grand total of episodes to 172 technically.
Wow.
So some stats for you guys there. And if you recall from past retrospectives, on Spotify there is a playlist on there called Words of the Witches Soundtrack. Because for every episode I would pick a song that I feel represents the content of the episode thematically, because I'm all about themes. And we have done it for the novels and the comics. So as we go through this retrospective, we will also reveal the song that corresponds with that episode. So, cool. Sadly, this will be the last season that I'm doing this. This is the last season that I will be adding to the playlist. And while next season I will still use music to promote, I think I'm just going to strictly make it promotions. It's not going to be on this soundtrack playlist. So this will be the last set.
Cool.
So let's get into our books. Shawn, tell us what our first one was.
The Book of Shadows by N.E. Genge. This was episodes 109 to 113, published October 10th, 2000. This is the ultimate unofficial guide to the hit program Charmed. This is both a book of spells and a key to the mysteries of the show. The Book of Shadows celebrates the best of Charmed, from its roots in the ancient tradition of Wicca to insider information on the show's stars. N.E. Genge not only provides fascinating background details for the show's Wiccan elements, but also guides readers in performing their own magic. Fans with a witchy bent will learn about the tools of magic and divination and the casting of spells. Recipes and rituals from those that beckon love or bless a new business venture to that bequeath strength or bestow fortune are all included. The Book of Shadows is a sassy celebration of witches, sisterhood, and magic. So on the Power of 3 episode, we did the song Witches by Alice Phoebe Lou. On the Witch's Chest, you used No Reason from the Beetlejuice musical. On the third part, The Witch's Place, you used Glam by Christina Aguilera. Part 4, called A Time for Spells, you used Under Your Spell by the Sweeplings. And part 5, The Observant Witch You Learn by Alanis Morissette. Very nice.
Yeah. Yes. This is where the part where we rank this book. How would you rank this one, Shawn? Magically delicious, pretty witchin', a sorcerer's apprentice, disenchanting, or vanquishable?
Well, first off, I did have to go back and remind myself, like, what was in
Sure.
this book?
It was a while ago.
It was. I would say it's pretty witchin', only because I like how much information Genj gave on like all the different like things that are used within Charmed and how it relates to like the real life Wiccan practices. So I think this is a very useful book for an actual practitioner and fan of Charmed. So it had a lot of value to it, but not like the perfect value.
I ended up giving this one Magically Delicious, even though I know there are problems with it. I know there was some things that seems a little too much, like, okay, you don't need this in here. But I do think it got a lot of interesting information, definitely had respect for the show and did the research for the show. And it's something that was kind of unheard of. It was only within the first 2 seasons of Charmed, and you're kind of teaching us and giving us lots of really cool Charmed information. I don't know. I thought it was fun. And I remember Phoenix was just like, he was prepared to hate the book, and he's just like, what cool things I'm learning from this book. That was exciting. So the next book we covered was The Book of Three by Diana G. Gallagher and Paul Ruditis. This covered episodes 114 through 119. This book was published April 6th, 2004. And it says, go behind the scenes of television's sexiest supernatural thriller, The Book of Three, the first fully authorized companion to Charmed, featuring exclusive in-depth interviews with the cast and crew, an introduction by executive producer Brad Kern, episode guides, character profiles, notable quotes, color photo inserts, and more. The Book of Three, your essential companion to the witchy world of Charmed. And we split this into 6 episodes. First one was called Book of Three, and I used the song 3 Coins in the Fountain by Frank Sinatra, which was actually a song written for a movie of the same name. Old movie. Second part was Book of White Magic, and I used the song Magic by Pilot, the oh, 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 it's magic, that one. For the Book of Shadows, I put a spell on you from Hocus Pocus, or at least, the one that Instagram would let me do, the version. It wasn't maybe necessarily the one from the movie, but in the style of Hocus Pocus. For Book of Black Magic, I put Black Magic by Little Mix. That's such a jam. For episode guide, I put The Sun Always Shines on TV by Aha. And for behind the scenes, I put the song Behind the Scenes by Taya. I ranked this one pretty witchin'. Because I do think it's a really great resource. There's a lot of organized information. I know I did have problems with some of the canonical things because some of them I found unforgivable. But overall, it is a very wonderful book. I love the color photo pictures in there, color photo inserts. It's just a wonderful. It's pretty much needed for any Charmed fan.
And this one, I'm going to finally land on it. I'm going to give it Magically Delicious. Only because I give it magically over the Book of Three, only because I feel like the Book of Three, if you're not into witchcraft, it's not for you.
You mean the Book of Shadows one?
Yeah, Book of Shadows. Then it's not completely for you. But this one is like completely, if you like Charmed, this has pretty much everything for you, even if it's not always correct. But it's a really cool companion. So I think they did a good job of writing this.
That's true. I mean, this is the quintessential Charmed book. Okay, tell us about our next book.
The Book of Love Spells by Paul Ruditis. Published September 8, 2004. Enter the magical world of the Charmed Ones and fall under the spell of the enchanting Hollowell sisters. Are they just lucky in love? Or have they had a little help from the incantations, potions, and inside information included in this book? Being a witch has its advantages. Piper, Phoebe, and Paige now share some of their secrets, so guard them wisely. Charmed, the Book of Love Spells is a must-have companion for this hit and hip TV show. For the song, you use This Magic Moment by Jay and the Americans.
Episode 120.
Episode 120. Did I miss that? Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
For this one, I feel bad doing this, but I have to be like objective. I only gave it a Sorcerer's Apprentice. And it's not like it's bad or anything. It's just the necessity of owning it isn't very high to me because it's just love spells.
Well, you did better than me. I give it a Disenchanting.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's a cute book. I think if you're a Charmed fan, yes, you should have it. It didn't really offer much.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a fun little book. I mean, it's a little nonchalant gag gift, and it's cute. Like there are some good information. It's fun to see the connections, but it was also a stretch with the love spells, and so
Yeah.
it's not necessary.
Not necessary.
Book 4 that we covered was Totally Charmed by Jennifer Cruz. This is episodes 121 through 126. This was our first essay book, published October 11th, 2005. It says, from Nicole's downfall and Phoebe's somewhat questionable fashion sense to the power of three in history and literature, and a magical tourist guide to the Hallowells' hometown of San Francisco, this clever, lighthearted essay collection offers a fun and funny look at the world of the WB hit series Charmed. Edited by New York Times bestselling author Jennifer Cruz. I didn't like her. These accessible and entertaining essays apply the wit and insight of one of today's leading romance authors to the stylish, occasionally campy fan favorite known for its scandalous outfits, revolving door of love interests, and the magical mayhem of three otherwise normal sisters who must fight against evil as they deal with the challenges of everyday life. We had 6 episodes of this book. The first one was The Sisters, and I used the song Sister, Sister, the theme to that show. The second episode was The Roots, and I used the Ballad of the Witch's Road from Agatha All Along. There's your Marvel connection. Part 3, Their Moral and Magical World. I used the song Right Kind of Wrong by Leanne Rimes. Part 4, Their Material World. I used the song Material Girl by Madonna. Part 5, They're Men. I used the song Men, Manly Men, the 2.5 Men theme song. Men, 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 men. And the last part, Their Viewers. I used the song New Favorite Thing by Balagomingo, which was a song on the first Charmed soundtrack. So that's where I first heard it. So
Nice.
I gave this one a Sorcerer's Apprentice. Because, yes, I do think there was some really great essays, especially that first section, The Sisters. I thought there's some really interesting ones about Piper and her powers, and there's the one about Phoebe and where she fit. So those are really wonderful essays, and then they got progressively worse as we went down, and very angered me. There was like that one that called all the men in Charmed problematic and misogynist. I'm like, okay, girl. And there's the one that said that, Charmed wasn't trying to be sexy. There's some weird things that were being stated in this book, and it made me mad. So that's why I gave it a Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, yeah. The one that said they were being dressed like Barbie dolls, so we think of them as their toys. It was weird.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I kind of was going in between Disenchanting or Sorcerer's Apprentice, but you're right. There were some good ones in there. It's just hard because you remember the bad ones more than the good ones a lot of times. But yeah, I don't know. It infuriates. Like, I don't know if it's because I am a man and I identify as a man. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm getting angry because I'm defending manhood, because I don't feel that strongly about it. I feel like there is a lot of toxic manhood, but just reading some of these and their take on manhood just seems so like, it seems like they're so far left field. You know what I mean? Like, where did you? It
was such a stretch. It was like you're clearly projecting your own trauma onto these people. Like, obviously they're not, like the way that Leo's like, I'm going to get Pepper pregnant so that I can be in control. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, get a grip. It pissed me off. It really did. Yeah. So what'd you end up picking for that one?
Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Okay.
All right. So next one is Triquetra by Keith Topping. This was episodes 127 through 133, published January 1st, 2006. Television can be a storehouse of treasures, and one of its best-kept secrets was a show called Charmed. Despite being scheduled at all hours, the series steadily built up a dedicated and vocal audience who became hooked by its beguiling and seductive Power, attractive visuals, and gentle wit. In Triquetra, best-selling author Keith Topping explores every episode, revealing the triumphs, the goofs, the guest stars, the intake of nicotine and alcohol, and generally gets under the skin of the Hollowell sisters and their lives, loves, and spellbinding adventures. The book covered the first 7 seasons, so we had 7 episodes, one for each season. We got to explore our feelings about each season, revealing the author's problems with lore, and then any canonical problems with Keith's analysis. Season 1, song She's So High by Tal Bachman. Season 2, Search for Love by Janice Robinson. Season 3, Breathless by The Chorus. Season 4, Breakdown by Tantric. Season 5, Blame It on the Weathermen by Bewitched. Season 6, Rainbow in the Sky by Ziggy Marley. Season 7, Fall Behind Me by The Donnas.
And all of those songs were featured in that season of the show. So I picked one that was featured in each of the seasons.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one's hard for me and I have to come clean a little. And I think you already know this. I didn't read most of this book because it was all like just.
It was a lot.
Recaps. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was hard to get through just because it was very tight writing, very close together. There was a lot of information. I did have to read through it all because I'm a completionist and I had to check for canonical problems, but I was skimming through. It was a lot. So much of the book we didn't even cover. We were just focused on his kind of goofs. And I do think it is great. I think fans would love it, and I think it's essential, but it was probably the hardest to make a podcast about, I think, just because it was just so tight-knit and so much description. I know also Keith was very icky in some of his descriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did end up giving it Pretty Witchin', only because I think his observations were pretty cool to note. And he did include a lot of behind-the-scenes information. Some of them I didn't even know. So there's stuff in there that I was like, oh, wait. Although I still got mad because I remember he said something about Finley being on Charmed playing Chris. And I believed it. And then I had to backtrack on that. So he deceived me, too. but I think if you want to get this book for your own personal collection and read it, it's great. What'd you give it?
I'd probably give it a Pretty Witchin' just because I bring it down a peg only because it does have a lot of good information, but the reason it's not up there with like the Paul Ruditis books is because of the format. It was just such a beast to try to read.
And the Book of Threes did have pictures and it was organized really well. Like it was, the space of the text was really well. It had little designs. So it was easier to get through, I think. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one was The Book of Three, Volume 2 by Diana G. Gallagher, Paul Ruditis, and Phyllis Ungerleider. Episodes 134 to 140, published November 28th, 2006. And this says, 3 sister witches, 2 magical sons, 1 evil ex-husband, countless demons, baddies, and all-around evildoers vanquished. It all adds up to 8 seasons of Charmed, the witchy, wonderful hit television show from Aaron Spelling. This, the second volume of the only authorized companion guide to Charmed, contains everything you need to know about the sexiest supernatural show of all time, covering seasons 6, 7, and 8, the final season. Volume 2 lets you inside the enchanted world of Phoebe, Paige, and Piper, featuring exclusive in-depth interviews with the cast and crew, a prologue by Aaron Spelling, an introduction by executive producer Brad Kern, episode guides, character profiles, notable quotes, color photo inserts, and more. The Book of Three, Volume 2, your essential companion to the witty world of Charmed. We had 7 sections for this one. Book of Three, with the song The Power of Three by Belle and Sebastian. Book of White Magic, song Love Power from Disenchanted, Idina Menzel. Book of Shadows, song No Good Deed from Wicked, Idina Menzel, Adele Dazeem. Book of Black Magic, song Dark Lady by Cher. Magic School, I used the song A Kind of Magic by Queen because it's a kind of magic, whether you like it or hate it. Episode guide, I use the song Coffee and TV by Blur. And the final section, Behind the Scenes, I used the song Behind the Curtain by Dora Ja. Oh yes, and I initially had Pretty Witchin', but I think I'm going to give it a Magically Delicious. Because you're right, this was a good companion piece to the first book of 3. I think it was maybe even refined a little bit with their format. I did like that they kind of put behind the scenes information after each episode with the interviews. It definitely made the behind the scenes section much smaller, but it was cool that they kind of placed them where they would go. And I feel like it was less inaccurate, maybe because there was less seasons to get through. But yeah,
I wonder if that's why they brought on Phyllis Ungerleider, because she wasn't on the first book, was she?
No, maybe she was their fact checker.
Yeah. Mine's Magically Delicious.
Yeah, I had a feeling, but I had to make sure.
Last and kind of least, Investigating Charmed by Karen Beeler and Stan Beeler, 141 to 143, published January 15, 2008. In 1998, the series Charmed, the story created by Constance M. Burge of 3 sisters who discover that they are powerful witches, first aired on the WB network. The series ran for 8 seasons and into top rating DVDs, and it has established, I didn't know this, a continuing presence as cult TV. I didn't know there's people who still like Charmed, Kevin. Do you know that?
I had no idea. Oh my gosh. Who's listening to the Charmed podcast? Who's watching Charmed? I don't know.
Yeah, lame. The expert contributors to Investigating Charmed, all of them fans of the show, explore its nature as groundbreaking TV. They debate the status of Charmed as third-wave feminist narrative, as well as its upturning of notions of sexuality and its creation of alternative forms of family life. The San Francisco setting is explored, as is Charmed's brand of witchcraft and fantasy, its mythological antecedents and female heroes. Looking also at the fans' relationship to the show, as well as its novelizations, fan fiction, and blogs, the book on this fantastic magical show concludes with a complete episode guide. We broke it down into 3 episodes: Witchcraft, Wicca, Magic, and Communita. Song Do You Believe in Magic by The Lovin' Spoonful. Feminist Power. Song Lady is a Vamp by the Spice Girls. And Visual Power, Place, and Genre. One Little Spark from Journey into Imagination.
Yeah, some Figment. Oh. How'd you rank this one?
This one, I ranked it a disenchanting.
Oh my Jesus.
I know. I thought about it, and I feel like although it had some good points and some good essays, overall I just got more infuriated than I did like my thinking cap on.
And it bothered you more than Totally Charmed. It was because of the style of writing?
Yeah, the style of writing, and also like, so for that first section, for example, like we talked about it on that episode, but every single writer like referenced the same episodes and like the same scholars. So I was like, did you guys all sit down and decide these are the ones you're going to focus on, or like what? Like it just made it kind of like a frustrating and somewhat boring read.
Yeah, I can see that. And it was hard for me to like compare the 2 essay books because I wanted to like them more. I mean, I feel like I did learn. I think they offered something, but at the same time, sometimes they didn't. Some essays did not. most of them did. At least, even if I didn't like them, I learned something. But like that color one was just garbage to me. I like.
Yeah.
And I ended up giving it a Sorcerer's Apprentice because I do appreciate that they looked into some of the other publications. Like they went to the novels, they went to the Book of Threes. I thought that was really cool that they did that. Yeah, there's some interesting analysis. I don't know. I feel like some of the Totally Charmed ones were stronger. I don't know. So I just it's hard for me to say. So I gave it a Sorcerer's Apprentice right in the middle of the road.
Okay.
All right. So that was all of the main episodes. We did have 4 bonus episodes, both before and during the season. They were Alyssa Versus, where we talked about the convention that Alyssa Milano and Shannon and Holly and Rose were, but on separate days, and there was the whole drama that came from it. And then we had our musical updates and Podiversary, so it was our last year's anniversary of the podcast, and we talked about what was happening with the Charmed musical and our process in getting that up. Then there was a tribute to Shannon Doherty after her passing, which was emotional. And then I did one on 90s Con Daytona, which I attended and had some Charmed things. Then there was the special episodes right before the season. This was our musical. So we did A Witch Your Heart Makes Act 1, A Witch Your Heart Makes Act 2, and then we did some behind the music, I called it, which was kind of like talking about our creation of it with different cast members, and our writing it, and Aaron talked about the music, and yeah, so it was kind of cool to explore kind of like the making of our little project.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, so that was our season. All right, so I do have a Grimoire game for you. It's not too long, but I think it's kind of fun.
What is this, some kind of game?
Grimoire Games!
Some people think this is entertainment.
So this
Oh, no.
Grimoire game is called Guessed Who. I'm so clever. Guessed Who.
At least one of us thinks so.
So I'm quizzing you on the guests that appeared this season.
Oh, shit.
So it is multiple choice. So I'm not going to throw you two up off the deep end, but it is multiple choice, and you do have a list of the guests there. So hopefully it wouldn't be too crazy. Are you ready to try this out?
I'm ready, bitch. Bring it on.
So question 1: which guest appeared on Totally Charmed: Their Material World? Alison Pregler, Cassandra Novell, or Clark Felix?
And which one was it? Totally Charmed.
Totally Charmed: Their Material World.
Their Material World. Oh, was it Clark Felix?
No, it was actually Alison Pregler.
Ah, damn it.
Because that's the one she talked about she's the one that talked about like the fashion, and she's like, I don't know what this lady was talking about with the sexism, like not being sexy and stuff. She agreed with it.
Okay.
Clark Felix was on our Book of Black Magic in the Book of Three. All right, question 2: which guest appeared on Triquetra Season 7? Ralph from Scream Society podcast, Nugent, or Weirdly Beloved?
Weirdly Beloved.
Correct.
Yay!
Yes.
I specifically remember Nugent was on 6 because we shared our Season 6 love and you made us question it.
Yes. Thank you. Good memory. Yeah. All right. Question 3: which guest appeared on the Book of Shadows: A Time for Spells? Phoenix from Witch Bitches Review, Marshall, a.k.a. the Witch of Southern Light, or Glam Witch Michael Herkus?
It was Book of Shadows, and what was it?
A Time for Spells.
A Time for Spells. I think that one was... Did you say Phoenix was an option?
Phoenix was an option. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go with Phoenix.
That's incorrect.
I knew that was too early.
He was in the episode after.
Fuck you.
For that one we had Marshall. We had Marshall from A Witch of Southern Light. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I'm so tricky. Question 4 out of 5. Which bonus episode did Troy Callahan appear? And this is difficult for you because you weren't on any bonus episodes. So this is just you paying attention. So the bonus episodes in question are Alyssa Versus, the tribute to Shannon Doherty, or 90s Con Daytona.
I'm going to say 90s Con Daytona.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes!
Woohoo! All right, and then the final question. Which of the following guests this season was not a cast member of the Charmed musical? There's 5 here to choose from. Kat Sicard, Cassandra Novell, Jaleesa Joy, Jess Sabanko, or Galen Roberts?
Wait, I know I know Kat was, I know Jaleesa was, and I know Galen was. Who was that last one?
There's 2 more. Cassandra Novell and Jess Sabanko.
Cassandra Novell or Jess Sabanko? Oh. I'm gonna say Jess Obenko.
It was a trick question. All of them were cast members.
You lying liarton.
I know. I'm so bad and evil. But yeah, all of them are cast members, and all of them appeared on another episode this season.
I'm Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah, just Banco played. She played young Wyatt in it. Just Banco
Okay.
did. I know. I'm such a bitch. It's fine. So with that, Shawn, help me thank our guests this season. List off who we all had.
Yes, thank you so much to all of our guests. It was such an honor to get to meet all of you and get to know you. We had Aaron Robertson, our entire cast of Charmed the Musical, which was 5 of those answers that you just provided to me.
Right.
Kat Sicard, Glamwitch Michael Herks, Marshall from Witch of Southern Light, Phoenix Arcana Lightwood from Witch Bitches Review Podcast, Cassandra Novell, Clark Felix, Allison Pregler from Movie Nights and Charmed Rewind, Ralph from Scream Society Podcast, Siren Rex Fry from Witch Bitches Review Podcast, Jaleesa Joy, Jess Obenko from Rewitched, Nugent Cantinello, Rose aka Weirdly Beloved, Luther Parmalee, Michael Simeon aka Black Gay Comic Geek, Galen Roberts aka They Call Me Mr. G, and Troy Callahan.
Yes, thank you all. And thank you, Shawn, for being with me on this season and being my co-host and wonderful partner in crime.
You're welcome. I know you gave me an out and I stayed. That's how much I like you.
I know. That's amazing. And I sent you a text. We did get a response. Someone told me how well our chemistry was. He thought we were off the charts. So I really am proud to have you, on this journey with me.
Thanks, girl. I like being here. Or else I wouldn't have another fucking podcast with you.
I know, right? Gosh. We just can't get enough. So that is our season. What's next? That is the question. People want to know what's next. Well, we will be taking another break, which we typically do at the end of a season. Probably about a month or so. And since our media is changing again next season, I will have to take some time to kind of reformat the structure. So make sure you follow us on social media for return announcements. Because next season, we will be covering the magazines! And so this will include the 24 issues of the official Charmed magazine. It will include the 59 issues of the magazines that were included in a UK DVD collection of Charmed. So they're kind of rare, but I thought it was cool. The DVD set that had accompanying magazines, and we'll cover those. And then there is like a small selection of Charmed fanzines, just small little things that fans made that were Charmed related. It will be our longest season yet. We may have some bonus episodes during the hiatus that we're on. We will see. I'm not making any promises, but there might be some of those. So yeah, be on the lookout. Shawn, where can we keep updated with you while we wait?
Find me on Shawn Perrette on Instagram or TikTok, Blue Sky, or Threads. And you can find our podcast, Solving for X and X-Men Task Podcast, on any of those as well, including YouTube. We just completed Season 2 of X-Men Evolution. We're excited to come back with Season 3 at the end of this month. And actually, since we're going to be away for a month, also check me out on Greymalkin Lane in early April. I did some fun voice work for different old Avengers comics and Champions comics.
That's super fun. I love that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, now is the time, since we're on break, it'd be a great time to catch up, re-listen, tell your friends. Of course, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podchaser even. We would really appreciate that, and the feedback helps others find us and tells us what we need to work on if there's anything or what you appreciate. There is a playlist on YouTube that has the entire soundtrack to Charmed the Musical, if you feel like just hearing the songs and not the story. I did put that on our pod feed for a little bit, but they didn't like that because it was all music. They didn't allow strictly music since we weren't musicians. We weren't a band, so they didn't like just music on a playlist.
Wow. So weird.
Yeah, I know. So you have to go to YouTube. There's a song-by-song kind of playlist on our channel there. You can also jam out to the Spotify playlist, The Words of the Witches soundtrack, that features all the songs we mentioned today and more. Don't forget, we also have the Words of the Witches merch store at wordsofthewitches.threadless.com, as well as the Charmed musical script on Amazon, if you want to do that. So there is lots of podcast content for you spell worders if you feel like you're missing us too much. So, and please, if you would like to guest at all next season, because we're always going to look for guests, or if you have comments or questions, you can email us at wordsofwitchespod@gmail.com. And you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, at Words of the Witches. Just look that up. And you can follow my personal Instagram at KGZ87. So yeah, we will see you soon, spell worders. Oh, goodbye for now. Ta-ta for now. Your destiny still awaits.